go. Okay. Let me know when you see that and tell me if that's upside down or not. Hi everyone, if you're watching a recording, do fast forward about 3 minutes. We're gonna get started, just getting everything all set up. Ooh, that is not working. When you see the screen. Okay, yeah. Right, okay, is that upside down or is it right? Okay, hold on. Better? Give it a second. Oh, okay, hold on. Let's flip that. There. Better. Zooming out. Ooh, why am I not zooming out? There we go. Okay. That's not where we're going to go with it anyway. This is where we're going. Okay. Yep, we're changing things around a little bit here. Wah! Okay. Okay, hold on. Let's go back and take a look. What's going on with Mr. Twitch? Oh no. I don't know what my Twitch password is. All right, give me a couple minutes. I'll be right back. Just give me a minute. Hold on. Wow. Image background. Not that one, not that one. Not that, not that. There we are. Okay. Okay, getting there. Give me just a minute, everyone. Looks like we are, oh, what can I say? We're trying to figure out how to get back on Twitch here because, let's see. Password, login. Okay, can't log in to Twitch. Oh my gosh. Let me see if I can get. Let me see if I can get this up and running. Sorry. Oh, I need a pen. So this is what happens when you leave for a couple weeks and everything falls apart and your computer is not working. They're making sure I'm not a bot. What the heck? Okay, never mind. Let's try email. Let's see. Okay, checking my email. We're going to reset these passwords and see if we can get this up and running. Nothing like starting over, you know, it gives you a good reminder. Let's see. There we go. We're going to reset that password and see if we can get Twitch back up and running. Teresa, please click the... Okay. Okay, so I think so close, but yet so far. Give me a second. Yipes. Oh, yeah. Let's put that back there. Almost. Oh, and now you're going to send me a token? Request SMS if you lost your phone, contact Twitch. Oy. Oh, there's my token. That happened pretty fast. 38. Okay, so let's go back in here. And I think we need to update some information here. Here we go. Okay. So is Twitch coming up for anybody? Honey? Still no? Okay, so I'm going to toggle that, and let's see if I can try one more time to connect. Okay. Okay, I just reconnected on Twitch. It shows connecting. Actually, I'm going to remove that. And I'm going to do this one more time. That's you can close this window now. Okay. Okay, turning it on, trying it one more time, and it should be connecting at this point. If not, unfortunately, we're going to push for next week and do some more testing. Sorry about that. I did not realize that it was off. One more thing to throw on. Wow. Okay. Is it coming up now? Oh, it shows connected. Yay! Okay, we're there. It shows connected on my side, so we're going to go with that. Oops. Okay, wait. Okay. Hi, everyone. Today is Wednesday, June 2nd. Yes, it's my birthday, 51. I've decided I'm starting over. I'm starting with 1, so I'm 1 today. It's, I don't know. It was a thing. It was a thought that had crossed through my head. So what's going on? We had a great holiday weekend. I don't know about you, but Andy and I got everything together. We're ready for the summer. You know, all the patio furniture is up and I recovered from my trip from Utah. The toe is still sore. The computer is not working. Still working on getting a laptop up and running. Yeah, didn't lose all the data, have the data there, but now we're going through the migration process because, of course, why would cloning work? Been working on that for 10 hours yesterday and decided to give it up. So that's the latest and greatest update. Hopefully everybody else is doing, having a lot less stressful of a week than I am. But it is what it is, and we're excited to be back. Gosh, I feel like I've been gone forever. It was great being in Stephanie's studio in Utah last week. Thanks to a lot of you guys who came by and who attended virtually and in person. So that was a lot of fun. Getting ready to do that again next week in Mississippi. So who's going to join me down there in Mississippi? Only doing in person, no virtual for that one. But hey, it's going to be fun. It's going to be great. Can't wait to go down there. I get to arrive to New Orleans. So hopefully some roasted oysters going to be in my belly sometime soon. So anyway, so what's on the agenda for today? Today is UFO Wednesday. We're starting a new series. I don't know how long it's going to go for. We'll at least 4 weeks, or at least 4 times, because next week, since I'm going to be out of the office, Melody McDuffie is going to be our guest instructor. I hope you all enjoyed Scott last week. So Melody's going to step in for me next week, and she's going to show us some basic wire working stuff for next week. Anyway, so all the applications for virtually ever crafting are in my hot little hands. If you want to preview, join me for Wine on Wednesday tonight. The link for the Zoom is on the Q Talk Facebook page. By the way, I am simulcasting on what should be 4 channels today. Oh my goodness, I should be on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. According to my screen, Twitch is connected and up and running. Andy just verified it is up and running. Yay! Okay, we try. So anyway, thanks for hanging out and thanks for tuning in. So UFO Tuesday, what I decided to do was unfinished objects, but not mine, yours. So about a month ago, I had put out a request for your unfinished projects, and I'm still looking for those unfinished projects to keep this going, because I really think that this is a nice opportunity to take a look at what you all are struggling with and see from my perspective how I would fix it or where I would take it. And it seems like every project has a little bit, so far that I have received, has its own challenges, and I think that it's a really good teaching/learning opportunity for everyone. And that's the whole point. So if you're interested in participating and you have an unfinished project that you've not been able, that's been sitting out there in the naughty box, and you can't seem to get it finished, do reach out to me and send me a picture of it. Tell me what's going on, and if I think I can do something with it, I'll let you know, and you send it up to me. But the other rule on that is I get full artistic rights to do whatever I want with it. So that's the scoop. So for today, this was submitted by Janet. And, I talked to her for a minute. I didn't want to get too far into it, but I just wanted to understand. So Janet sent this to me in the mail a couple of weeks ago. She sent this picture. This is what the idea was, and this is what she has made so far. So my discussion with her was, what happened? Why didn't this project get finished? And what is it that you want this to be? Just to see where she was going with it and to see if any of it resonated with me. I had some ideas of what I wanted to do with it, and what I thought, I'm not going to say wrong, but what I thought could be enhanced on it, or how much further she can take this. So here, what she has is basically, this is probably a 12 gauge piece of square wire. And by the way, she told me that this was all scrap material. And the projects that if you're interested in participating, those projects don't have to be projects from a class that you took from me. This Janet was inspired by sailing. I believe she said her father has a sailboat, and she was using scrap material. And what's really funny is I'm betting money that this back sheet came from one of my classes. It looks like a lot like something I have used in the past. So in any case, so where she stalled out, she says, well, I had this idea of making this sailboat, and it just sort of stalled up. The idea stalled up. And, you know, as I'm looking at this, there's a couple things that that I thought would be interesting to change. First of all, the bail. Okay, so if we were to do the bail this way, you'd have to, this is not really a bail because your chain can't go through it properly. So you would have to create another loop for on top of it so that the chain can pass through properly. You know, so my first thought really was to go ahead and turn this way so that the bail can pass through that top. But then the more I thought about it, I really liked this design with the loop because it sort of feels like that flag at the top of a sailboat. So I'm going to keep it. And then I asked her, you know, what happened to this piece versus this piece? As you can see, this one was cut in this wave. I understood, the way I saw it was cut in a wave to give movement, to show like what a sail would do when it's blowing in the wind. So I said, what happened here? Why didn't that happen? He says, oh, I just sort of stopped. Okay, fine. It just sort of stopped. Okay, so now I know where to go with it. So next was this. She put bezel wire in here. Not really clear why. Not really clear that it brings anything to the table. So my thought, so here's where I'm going with these thoughts. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to detach those triangles because I don't think they bring anything to the table. However, if she wanted to like fill it with resin and do something interesting that way, it would make a great frame. So if she had soldered all this down like so, then she can make a frame out of it, right? And fill it with resin. But I'm not seeing that. So my first thought is I'm going to take off those frames simply by unsoldering. So there's lesson number 1, how to unsolder something. Okay. Then next, I just took some scrap and I had this thought that wouldn't it be nice to take a piece of sheet metal, bezel, whatever you want to do, and sort of make a wave in it and put it on top. It seems to bring a little bit more motion into it. And that's what I was looking for. And so either do that, or once I take this off, to go ahead and bend this piece. But that creates a problem because if we bend this back plate, then this edge here will also get bent. And the soldering of it, not so sure that's going to be fun. But let's see where it goes. Next, you know, there's some unfinished edges here. We'll go ahead and file those down and make those nice. And of course, this has to be soldered onto here. This wasn't filed either, but I'm sure she didn't get to that point quite yet. So we're going to file that flat and solder it down like so. And that way, we have a nice edge to solder onto. Okay, a nice joint. And of course, we're going to make a bail. Actually, let's go ahead and make that bail really quickly here. Because it's sitting here. So to do that, I actually, in the theme of scrap metal, I happen to have some scrap here and some scrap square wire. And I'm just going to go ahead and churn that baby. It's not so easy when you're using such a small piece. Remember, you know, it becomes more and more rigid the smaller the pieces get. So this might take a little bit more effort. But I'm just going to bend it around my multi-looping plier to create a bail. Now, most people, when they do this, this is what they end up with. But I want a round piece, so a round jump ring. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bypass it. You see this? I'm going to bypass it like so. Oops. Bypass it like so. And bring it around this way. And I'm using my tools because the piece is so small. Remember, I'm using scrap that I need a little help. My fingers aren't quite strong enough. And I'm going to squeeze it right on. You see how it's bypassed? Yep. And then we're going to go ahead and trim it with some flush cutters. I'm going to use my little blunt end there. Turn the bottom piece the other way. Oh, it needs to go this way. Oops. So Andy just relayed the comment to me. You're right. The bottom piece does need to go the other way. Thanks for pointing that out, because I would have gone over my head. Anyway. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead and keep churning this. I'm feeling like this is a little big for this, right? Oops. Clicked my mouse and lost my screen. I'm feeling like this is a little big for this. We're going to make it a little bit smaller. But because this has gotten really hard, we'll go ahead and anneal it. So now that we're bringing out the torch, we'll set this aside, anneal it at the same time as we undo these pieces. Okay. I'm just going to put it right on top of here. Not knowing what kind of solder she used either, I'm just going to go ahead and put some flux on there and try to gently pull this apart. Okay, let's see. Little flux. And the flux will help the solder flow. I don't know how long this has been sitting around. It usually, I don't always need flux to get it to flow when I'm working right away, but when a piece has been sitting around, it likes to have a little flux. Okay, so this is not going to be the easiest thing to unsolder, but we'll try. So I'm going to first of all anneal that ring, set that aside, and let's do the other. And what's nice about flux is it tells us what's going on. Because once it starts turning to that that crystal stage, that's when you know your solder is about to flow. And I'm sort of pushing on it, trying to pull that piece away. There it goes. A little bit at a time. Okay. I want to show you. So I pulled away just a little bit there, like so. And I stopped because I wanted to pull away as much as I could, and because this piece is a little complicated to pull apart. Okay, I'm going to put a little bit more flux back on. Okay, hold on a second. Andy needs me to check my connection here with him. Oops. I'm completely tangled up today. Okay, is that better, honey? Okay, so we're going to heat that next piece again, and we're going to try to pull that one apart now too. Heat everything, get it nice and hot. And again, right now I'm just taking this piece apart because I'm going to change it up. Hopefully, Janet, if you're watching, hopefully you'll like it. No guarantees, remember that one? But I don't feel so bad because it's scrap. And she sent two pieces to me. So the other one, depending on how long we go today, might get done today. If not, it'll get pushed for next week. But the other one, I know I can fix, so. This one is a big experiment. We'll see. Honey, you still there? Okay, so here we go. Ooh! Wow. Okay, so that one came off really easily. Yay. Okay, we'll go ahead and quench that. And quench that. We'll stick it in the pickle. So while it's pickling, I'm going to work on that bail a little bit more. I'm going to tighten it up. Make it a little tiny bit smaller. So again, I'm going to pull this apart. So Janet's giving me permission to do what I want to do. This is exciting. So this being the first one ever, we'll see. Okay, so I'm gonna cut that. I just want this a little bit smaller. It just feels really big to me. Mm-hmm. So the question is, why did I need flux? Because it's been sitting around. You know, it's really weird. This defies science and it defies physics. But I find that pieces that, like if I'm working through the process, right? And even though it's supposedly clean, I can get it to unsolder. And if I'm still working on it, I can get it to unsolder really easily without adding flux. It's like really strange. It shouldn't work that way. Like I said, it defies science. But pieces that have been sitting around, I can't get it to unsolder without flux. So I don't have a good explanation for you, but yes, you make a fine point. It really should all need flux. You shouldn't be able to, like, you know, unsolder it without the flux. I know. It's, yeah. Welcome to my world. Nothing ever explained properly. Okay, so now that I have a ring, we'll set that aside. And let's check our pickle and pull those pieces out. Oh, look, I have a prize in there. I left something in the pickle from last time. Huh. It's only been 2 weeks. Oops. By the way, if you ever lose a piece, okay, I can't get this out of my pickle. Hold on. If you ever lose a piece of your work while you're working, check the pickle. Okay, I'm going to stick my finger in here because I can't get it out with the tongs. I know, bad girl, putting my hands in pickle, but it is what it is. So Andy's telling me there's birthday wishes out there. Thank you so much for the birthday wishes. Appreciate it. Okay, here we are. Just a piece of silver that was left in there. Okay, so here's our piece once again. And where is my silver? I've lost it. It was right here. Did it roll away? You know what? You think it's Monday. It's not Monday. Oh, duh. It's like sitting right in front of me. Okay. So again, I'm going to go with the scrap theory here, and I'm going to cut off some scrap. This is just an unused bezel. Ooh. Ooh, and it has some nice undulations in it. I'm going to trim this down a little bit. See where my shears, because I'm going to create a wave like the sail. I want this a lot smaller. You know, I save all my scrap because even the smallest piece of scrap can be used for something. And it's nice, especially if it's fine silver, I can use it to make granules. So that I do. And here we go. This one. And I'm going to take out my round nose, and I'm going to play with this a little bit. Let's see where I go with it. And we're just making a wave. Not too deep. A little bit more shallow would be nice. Because I don't want it sticking out too much, but I want it to make a point. There we go. You see that? Making just a little wave. but I want this dip to come down fairly even because I think that's how I want to solder it. Oh yeah. Okay, let's see. There we go. Uh-huh. I like it. Okay. So I'm going to trim that. And that will get soldered down. Again, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to ensure that I have connections. So I'm going to turn it sideways for you. And you can see, I want to make sure that that's going to connect there. And it's going to connect on the end here. So, getting there. Every time you bend something, another part will bend up, will counter bend. So be careful when you're making these adjustments, not to over adjust. Okay, good connection. Sort of a wave in there. Oh, had a thought. What happens if I actually turn this like this? If it doesn't work, I'm just going to cut it off. Again, you see, just to give it some texture, maybe. Oh yeah, I dig it. Okay, so there's that piece. And then we'll do the other one. Maybe. See, about that long. And I'm just sitting here playing with these pieces. Okay, so when you're designing, if it's not completely structured and your design is fluid, you sort of have to play with it. But I would recommend that you play with copper. That's what I do, is I usually start with copper to see where all it's going before I commit. I do have commitment issues, let's be honest, okay? All right, so you can see that the piece is really rough here, and I'm okay with that because I'm gonna go ahead and file it when we're done. However, I know that I will not be able to get into this raw edge here, so I'm gonna go ahead and sand it now. The edge was left a little bit raw from some filing that had happened previously. So I'm gonna go ahead and take that edge now because I'm fearing that when I put this wave on top of it, I won't be able to get to that edge. So I want to go ahead and clean it before I solder it. Okay. And then this one, what are you going to do with this one? We're going to go ahead and cut it into something a little bit more shapely. There's my piece. And this one was like this. Let's go out. So sketching is always nice so that you have something to refer back to. Because again, I don't know about you, but I do have a hard time remembering what the heck my thoughts were. So I usually carry a notebook with me. So when I come up with design inspirations, I always have something to sketch it down with. So I'm going to trim this off and make this a little bit smaller. Yes, we all have commitment issues, and that's why we have UFOs. Okay, so that was the response to a comment. Okay, so here we are. Still feeling like, based on this image here, this piece is still a little bit large. But you know what? I think I'm going to trim it this way. Let's see. Where's my cutters? I'm going to trim it like so. By the way, if you're out there watching on Twitch or wherever it is that you're watching from, do say hi, give us a like or comment. It helps us get more attention to the site. Okay, so this piece is here. Okay, so now the question is, we want to do the same thing, I think, the same thing on this piece by giving it a slight wave, just a little bit. I'm going to pull out my pen and I'm going to draw it. What about a wave under the boat? So maybe something like this. I don't know. We'll see when we get there. That's not a bad idea. Okay, so how do we feel about that? I think I might have to think about this for half a minute here. I don't know. Okay, you know, it's funny. Even though this isn't my design, I'm still having commitment issues. I'm going to go ahead and solder what I can while I'm thinking of it. So, and see, this is what I do. You know, if I have a hard time committing to something, I'll go ahead and commit to whatever I can. The ones that are in question, I sort of leave it out there for a hot minute and think about it. Let it percolate, you know? As a friend of mine used to say, I'm going to noodle on it. Okay, so I'm going to noodle here. So here, because the pieces are not together yet, I'm going to go ahead and use hard solder. And I'm going to put a little bit of solder at every point where it's touching. Just like so. So a little bit up on top and a little bit on the bottom and in the middle. And we're going to put it right on there. Make sure that's down. And then we'll get the other one and do the same thing. I'm going to put some hard solder on this one too, and I'm just going to put it on the ends. Okay. Maybe. Oops. Do I want to go under it? I think I want to go under it. Changed my mind. So I'm going to flatten out all of 2 millimeters on that end. And I'm going to see if I can go under this piece. Okay. I talk about tweezers all the time. I still am astonished as to how often I've been using tweezers since we've gone virtual and I work at my bench. It's amazing. I never used tweezers before. I owned them, but I never used them. And here they are. Again, almost every week I'm using them. Okay, no more solder on that bottom part. We grab a little bit more solder, put back on there. Go under. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and solder this. And it's not exactly on that edge. I don't care because it's supposed to be fluid. Not fluid in design, but you know, the sale thing. So let's heat this whole thing. There it goes. There it goes. Okay. For a second there, it was like not wanting to move. All right, give it a minute to think about it. Let's take a look. So again, I'm not, ooh, okay, not good. I'm not so concerned about it being exactly on the back like that. I'm concerned about it being attached. And it is nicely attached. Okay, no one's going anywhere. These areas are going to get filed down. I'm going to throw this in the pickle first. And let's take a look at this. So what did we decide? Janet, did you have an answer for me? Do we want to put that curve in there? I'm going to put the curve in there. I know. I know you told me to have at it, but okay, so I'm using curved shears. To cut this, and if you can't cut the curve, then pull out your saw and saw it, which I might be doing here. Just it cut. Okay, so you can see I have a very slight curve in it, which is nice. I'm gonna nip that little corner off, and I'm gonna make this. Actually, I'll file it. So you can see my tools are starting to pile up here. This is my process. One by one, all the tools get piled up on my workbench. Ugh. Okay, maybe a little bit more emphasis here. You know, when I have commitment issues, I just take it a little bit at a time. Because it is metal. It's really hard to put back. I mean, you can put it back. It's really hard. Believe it or not. Like, you know, let's say I took off too much here, which I'm not going to do on this one, but especially if it's a plain piece of sheet metal, you can definitely solder another piece on and get it back to a whole piece. It's not a pretty process. And it's not an easy process, but it's a doable process. It's when you have a texture sheet that it's nearly impossible. I'm not going to say it is impossible, but nearly impossible. All right. I sort of curved this, but we're going to go ahead and, let's see. Yeah. Let's go ahead and flatten this piece out. So I have you guys thinking about your UFO and maybe sending it up to me? Maybe. All right, let's pull the other piece out. Let's take a look at it and see what we want to do. Do we want to add another piece on there? Maybe, maybe not. What lends itself to the design? Don't know. Okay. Let's go ahead and zoom in. We're going to go this way and this way. Thanks, Larry. And we're going to go like that. Yeah, you know what? I think I'm going to go ahead and add another piece here. And let's see. Janet, I'm glad you're liking it. I'm going to see if I can actually bend a U in this. This is going to be a really, really, really awkward bend, but let's try it. I am using scrap, so if it doesn't work, I don't care. I have more. I'm not so invested. not so easy to bend in this direction. I'm bending it sideways, and that's why I'm struggling. That's hard to do. I just want to make I want to make this L right here. Just to do something a little bit different. It's coming. Okay, so this is getting harder and harder to do. I'm going to go ahead and kneel it for a second, okay? So just get, anytime your metal gets hard, anneal it. You shouldn't be afraid of annealing anything. It's easier to anneal it than to struggle with it. And the other thing too is, if it gets too hard, it just might crack. And that's, talk about fixing. Ugh. Okay, there we are. We're getting close. See how much easier that is? Okay, so close. And I made a distinct decision here not to do most of this prep work ahead of time or put too much thought into it ahead of time, because I really wanted to share with everyone the process. Because I really do believe that it's important to understand how to give another perspective as to what the process is, because I hear all the time that a lot of you have a hard time with your design decisions. Okay, so this one goes down. So I'm going to need to flatten that a little bit. Again, this one I'm doing a little bit different, just to create something a little bit different. And yeah, I'm leaving this edge. I don't want it to be perfect. I want it to be fluid. This edge here, you see that cut? That needs to go away. So we're going to trim it. And we're going to file it. Just take off any sharpness. It's easier to do this filing up front than on the back end, like so. And then I'm going to turn this down, because you can see it's sort of sitting up. So we're going to turn that down. Like so. Push it down like that. Okay. Okay, so now the question is how we're going to solder all this together. That's going to be interesting. Let's see, but hold on. I think we're going with that. Okay. So I'm going to solder this down, pickle it, and then we're going to figure out how we're going to solder the other pieces on. Again with the hard solder. Someone had made a comment about my little Petri dishes. Yes, your solder can stay out. No, it won't dry out. I keep my solder out for weeks and it doesn't dry out. So no worries there. And this just makes it a lot easier than using those syringes that they come in. Okay. So just a bit of solder. Let's go ahead and zoom out a little bit. So solder on 3 points on the elbow and on each edge is where I have it. Okay. Adjusted. I'll solder this, pickle it, and I'm going to start setting the other pieces on. My solder got a little messy, and since this is texture plate, I'm going to push it out. Okay. Let's see. Ooh, we are not on. Not as soldered as I thought it was. So we're going to put it back on. And I'm going to do it from the back side this time. Because I know it's flat and clearly the back sheet did not get hot enough. And hopefully that flowed. Okay. Oops. Okay, definitely flowed that time. Great. Throw that in the pickle. Let's set this one up. So here I'm going to go ahead and trim these little pieces so I can make a great connection. A little tiny bit of filing. And so my question, as I was going through this, the question in my head, actually, you know, I'm going to trim this just a tiny little bit too. Wow, that's hot. I feel like it's a little tiny bit long. I'm going to take a little tiny bit off. Just itty bitty. Okay. So, you know, trying to give this more dimension. That was a lot of my thought, is how can I put more dimension into this? And I was thinking that maybe the sails should be soldered one up and one down just to give it that bit of depth. I'm going to see if I can get that done. Okay, so I'm going to set this up and I'm going to use my pins to keep it lined up on my honeycomb solder board. By the way, all this stuff can be purchased at theurbanbeater.com. All this stuff that can help make your life easier when it comes to doing this. I didn't post much of what I was using today because I didn't know what I was going to do. So, so now I'm going to actually, instead of going to hard, I'm going to medium because I'm going to solder the sails and the, I don't know, the boom at the same time. So since I already used hard on the sails, I'm going to move to medium. Okay, so I'm going to put this on, but I want to turn this way, put a little bit of solder on that end there. Oh, okie dokie then. The solder went into the hole. Okay. Oh, the mast. Andy was telling me it's called the mast. Okay. It's been a long time since I've sailed, honey. Like, I think the last time I went sailing was, I was 12. Yes, I was a Girl Scout. We sailed as a Girl Scout. Okay, so now, question is, how do we attach this? Very carefully. But do we want this on top or do we want this flat to the bottom? By putting it on top, it gives us some dimension. But then the next question is, how do you get that raised? So we could have done this in a magnesia block and dug it in, dug this piece in, but then you wouldn't be able to do the other piece at the same time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look for another piece of scrap and see, copper, and see if I can raise it. All right, so maybe this one. Let's see, what's going on here. Maybe. Might work. And oh yeah, look at that. So the question is, are the pins the right height to prop it up? Maybe, but I'm feeling like this is going to be just fine here. Let's pull the other piece out. Okay, you can see that. I'm going to pull the other one out of the pickle. And this one I'm going to do flat to the back side. Oops. Should probably pin that one too, huh? Let's see, put a pin here and a pin here. Okay, I don't have a connection on that left side. Looks like I need to do another adjustment and trim that just a teeny weeny little bit to create more of a connection. See, so now it has a lot more of a connection. And it's funny, as I'm looking at the screen, it's like, wow, it looks like a huge gap. But when you're magnified that much, of course it's going to look huge. Okay, so there we are. I still feel like this thing is really tall. Does it look tall to you, honey? Okay, Andy says it looks fine. He was a sailor at some point. Okay, so we'll go ahead and put some medium solder on all of this and see if we can get that to solder in one shot. Wish me luck, Janet. Did you know that? Andy says that the smaller sail is called the jib. So my question is, Andy, did you know that, or did somebody just tell you? Oh, he knew that. Look at that. So Andy is suggesting that I add a third sail and make that my spinnaker. Let me just say, no. Although what's sort of funny is I coincidentally had a piece of scrap that we could have used on this too. That would have matched. Haha. Okay, so now I'm going to put solder on this piece. Again, with the medium solder. Little teeny bit. Okay. You know, I did eat breakfast today, / lunch. I had brunch today, and my hands are feeling a little shaky. Perhaps not enough protein. Okay. There we go. Counterbalance that a little bit. All right. Ready to do this? We're going to do this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to heat the, is it the boat, babe? The bottom? The hull. I'm going to heat the hull first because it's a really thick piece of metal. I really think it's like 12 gauge, okay? So because all the other pieces are so thin, I don't want to get that so hot that it melts. So we're going to heat the hull first, and then we'll go and heat the mast because that's also a thick piece of metal. And we're trying to avoid the other stuff. Back to that. Look, wait. But before I do that, let me make sure we're even. Okay, there we are. So we heat the whole thing, but mostly that mask and the hull. Are you proud of me, honey? I'm learning. Okay, was it making a connection? So I remove the pin so I can push it down. See, the other pieces are getting hot, but we're still not soldered yet down here. And this is where the problem always comes in. So make sure you focus your heat where you need it to be and not everywhere else. There we go. Okay, and then we're gonna go up here. And I'm actually gonna heat that mask because remember, it does just, silver does distribute heat. So hopefully it will get hot and the other pieces will make their connection. Okay, I know that didn't happen. I know this and this happened, but this is not feeling like it happened. I'm going to stop there and we're going to try to do the other part on another round. It's going to fall apart. I know it's together, but I really think it's going to fall apart. No, because it's a pendant, you want it to be a good connection, right? So let's check the first one. Okay, so this, the mask and the hull are definitely a good connection. Okay, let's check the second one. Ooh, that's a good connection. This one, wow, see, it broke off. I just tipped it. But you know how I'm going to do this? I'm going to put this on my pumice because it's going to keep everything level, and I'm going to solder from the back side and just solder those two joints. I'm going to go ahead and use easy solder at this point. Again, it's all about assessing what your metal wants you to do. Okay, so we're going to pull this off. It's pretty hot. I'm pretty sure my bench is going to go ablaze here if I put it on the bench. Okay, so see what's great about pumice? You can stick this in just like so, and it keeps everybody nice and level where you want it to be. Because I quenched it, it's wet, right? So I'm going to just dry it up just a little bit because my paste solder is not going to want to stick onto something wet. So by doing that, I'm helping myself. And now I'm going to grab a little bit of easy solder. I can put some right there and right there. Okay. And again, I'm just going to heat that mask. Right down the middle until it gets hot. Need a little bit of that. What did you say that sail was? The jib. And then what did you call the third one? Spinnaker. That's a colorful sail that you see when they're racing. I want to make sure that this is a good connection, so I'm really helping it out here. There it goes. Okay, again, oh, looks like a good connection. Oh, if it's not, I dropped it in. Oh, yeah. See, I give it a good tug. You really want to give it a good tug. Okay. Oh my gosh. Yay. All right. Oops. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and put this on right now. And I'm going to go ahead and solder that so I don't have to do more than one pickle. And I'm going to solder this closed because I can. See, this is what's great about paste solder, is soldering jump rings. I'm going to get that little bit of heat just to dry it up. And then a little bit of easy solder, because it's just a little joint that I don't have to worry about. Like so. And I'm going to heat right there, right on that jump ring. It's a pretty heavy jump ring, so I am heating the whole jump ring. Typically, I don't worry about heating the whole thing when they're really small, but this one is a pretty heavy one, so I'm heating the whole thing, and that makes me happy, just like so. Okay. So the question is, when I used the copper as a riser, why did it not fuse to the silver? I didn't heat it enough for it to fuse. The other thing too, the other hazard of using that copper is if you had some solder bleed, then you would have effectively soldered the copper onto one of those sails. So you just have to be really careful when you're using copper for a riser. But it works. If you have titanium, titanium is a really good alternate, or steel. But the problem with steel is that there's a lot of heat sink. So you got to be careful with that. So I don't even keep steel here for that purpose. I have a tendency to use the copper. And as of late, I've started using more and more of the magnesia block and digging into it to make things more level. Part of the reason why I don't like that is because it's a bit messy. It's really dusty when you do that. However, while I was at Stephanie Chavez's studio, it's hilarious. We were doing a project where we were digging into the magnesia block, and I was like, oh, where do I go with all this dust? And she goes, wait a second, I have something. She brought out this teeny weeny mini USB charged vacuum cleaner that was perfect. Yeah, I think I need to get one of those so that I can, anytime I want to, vacuum out my drawers that are here of all the dust from, whatever, from the soot and the silver dust and all that from what we do here. All right, let's pull this out of the pickle and see where it has gone to. Okay. It's a little bit dirty. We'll pull out our brass brush and clean it up. And then we'll go ahead and I'll go ahead and patina it. Then you can see all the details in the texture plate that was provided. So I want to clean this up and see how I feel about it. But we're just about done. And Janet's second project will wait for next week. So I have a couple people already. Let's see. I think Jamie's next, and then Gail is after that. And then I'm still pondering on Pam's project, but I'm still looking for more challenges if you want to send them up. Okay, so here we'll go ahead and do a little bit of finishing work. When she cut this, it sort of pinched it, so we're going to go ahead and file that down. When you cut square wire, that has a tendency to happen. I'm sorry, honey, can you repeat that? Thanks, Janet. And I'm gonna also, as I'm filing, I'm creating a little bit of a bow in the bottom, so it's not perfectly straight. I feel like that's I don't know. It's happenstance, but I'm liking it, so I'm gonna leave it. And let's see, a little bit more just to take that little bit off. Again, when you're cutting square wire, this is common. It has a tendency to do that. It's just pinch one end, because really, where is it going to go? It has to pinch to cut, right? So here we'll do the same thing over here. Take off some of these edges just a little bit. And then we'll patina this with a little bit of black max instead of liver sulfur. We'll do, so you'll hit all the edges. Make sure it's nice and clean, no sharp edges. And I do like to hit everything with sandpaper at some point. Okay, so even here, there's a little bit more of a bevel from the cut. Regardless of how flush your cutters are, it will always leave something. It's just a matter of how much. So you want to take that off. Make it a little bit more professional. Clearly, Janet used a really nice cutter because I didn't have to do much. Probably those Lindstroms that we have on our website. That's what I'm going with anyway. And again, just hitting it with some sandpaper just to smooth out any of those file marks that might be on there. And I'm looking at other areas to see if maybe there was any tool marks. If there are, just take them off with a little sandpaper. I'm switching out from my tongue depressor because I want this to conform a little bit by the pressure of my finger to conform around the edges instead of creating like a flat edge. This would be a little bit more helpful. If you have like sanding sponges, that's really helpful here too. Of course, we'll clean up this jump ring. Clean everything up. All right, so let's go ahead and do a little bit of patina and call it good. I might just be sending this back to Janet and saying, here, you finish it. Ha! You sit here and polish and sand for the next hour. I had a sharp edge, so I have to take that off. Can't leave her with a sharp edge. Just can't do it. Okay, patina. Get a little bit of a paper towel out. Go. Don't forget, when you do patina, you want to make sure that you rinse it completely because this will neutralize your acid. Otherwise, it's going to keep working and it's not going to be pretty. And yes, I am going to oxidize around the mast and the hull just because I want a little emphasis down there. And I'm putting this all over that sail, especially the texture, because I want to see that texture pop out. There's highs and lows here. This is what we wanted. Okay, make sure you rinse it really well. And dry that off. Give it a little bit of brass brush. And you know what? Don't really care for the brass brush anymore at this point. I'm going to pull some steel wool. If I had some. Okay. There we go. Get everybody to the same surface. Ooh. See, so now it's really coming alive. There we go. There seems to be a lot more depth to it. Actually, I'm gonna like oxidize this too. It's a little white. I'm going to be careful not to oxidize anything that had steel wool on it, because the steel wool with the black max, this hydrochloric acid, would turn things red because it's rusty. So if you've ever patinaed and things are turning red or yellow, it could possibly be from any residual steel wool that's causing that. Okay. And then I'm going to pull out my nylon brush and get into these tiny little, oh yeah, there we go. Done. Almost done anyway. So that's it. I'm gonna do this for a little bit longer. Wine on Wednesday is tonight, if at 4:30 Eastern, if you'd like to join us. Time capsule number 3, the Hinged project, is Saturday. So that's the Zoom coming up on Saturday, and that's at 10 o'clock, not 1 o'clock. So for those of you who are registered for that, don't forget, I sent out the Zoom links last night. And then there is, what else? Monday. We're going to do Makeover Mondays, and we're going to take some lesson-inspired projects from last year, and we are going to give them a makeover. You know, again, it's part of the discussion of what do you do with things that, you know, needs to freshen up, a revamp. And we'll be back again next week. I'm going to, on Wednesday, to do another UFO project, and that's going to be Janet's second project. And maybe we'll have time to do a third one on the same day. We'll see. Otherwise, let's see, what else? Anything else, honey? No? So for the Andy's got nothing else. I'm just cleaning. So, thanks for hanging out, everyone. Hopefully, ta-da! Ooh, I think I like it. Hopefully you learned a little something today about how to handle your own projects should you have any projects that's been lingering around. Hopefully I've inspired you to get it out and get it done. Or send it to me. I know. There's one way to get it done. Send it to me. Okay. I love these little brushes. They get really right into those tiny little places that I can't seem to get my fingers into. Yep. So that's it. So Janet, if you want to do more finishing, you can do more finishing, but I am done. Okay, thanks everyone. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for liking our post. Thanks for sharing our post. We really appreciate it. And thanks for the continued support and the happy birthday wishes. Really appreciate that. Well, we're going to have to party one of these days, sooner or later. Instead, you know what we're going to have to do with Wine on Wednesday tonight? Links on Q Talk at Facebook at Q Talk. So do have a look. Maybe we'll join you guys in a couple of hours, okay? In the meantime, I'm going to go find some lunch and figure out what we're going to have for cocktails tonight. Have a great day.